Gosh, I really enjoy my evenings. Not. But there is a moment, okay, where it's 6 o'clock. I'm not stuck yet because it's just 6 o'clock. Like right now is 6 o'clock on February 24th, 2021. And I can go for a couple of minutes without getting stuck. Not much beyond that. So this moment is cool. This moment in time, this moment of arriving at a live podcast. Expectations are high, unless you've been here before, in which case expectations are low. Hi, Lisa. It's nice to see you. So, like I was saying, if this is your first time coming to Ken Gover's live podcast, your expectations may be high. If you've been here before, your expectations are much lower. And I appreciate that. I do. So I don't have a lot of anxiety right when it starts, right? Because I can fill up 5 minutes as well as anybody can. Anybody can fill up 5 minutes. I mean, besides telling your name, your age, your rank, your serial number, and some other bullshit, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's just, tell people how you doing. All right. Hi, Chris and Becky, Cathy, Debbie, Joan. Is the TV working? All right. I wasn't going to do this. You asked. I'm going to update you. Okay. I got off the air. My daughter, of course, she had made an appointment for a time I could not accommodate. Remind me to tell you the story about going and taking somebody for a vaccination today. So, it's functional, seemingly functional, but it's glitching. But I'm like, I only have to wait a little while. I get online, I reschedule for Thursday. I'm anxious, I'm anxiety because that means all Wednesday I won't have fully functional television, right? So I'm laying around. I mean, my daughters and I hung out for a while. They were here till I don't know. They're getting ready to go to Korea. So I'm helping them plan their airfare. Well, I didn't do much. I just laid there and said, sounds expensive to me, but that's helping plan their way to Korea. And, we talked about some of the functional problems of getting to Korea. So we had a good time. We hung out. We hadn't hung out in a while. In fact, of everybody here, Ray Dean, you're the only one that's ever hung out with my daughters. You're the only one. There's very few people that are adult who hung out with my daughters that I talked to. Anyways, so they were here. We're chatting away, and I paused the television, and it crashed, man. The freaking DirecTV went from kind of functional to I ain't gonna do a damn thing for you, son. Nothing. I'm not gonna show you a show. I'm not gonna show you your list of recorded shows. I'm not going to show you the guide. You are on your own. No, you're not on your own. You got no TV. All right. So here's the thing. I turned off the television because I was listening to you people oh God, right? So I get on my computer and I'm just doing stuff. And by the way, my daughter showed me how to watch my phone on my TV. So she showed me that I could go to HBO Max and I could watch it on my TV. Now, what's important about this, oh God, it's getting hot. What's important about this is the TV company, LG, I called them. They couldn't figure out how I could watch my Android phone on my TV. They're sending a technician out because I'm under warranty. My daughter picks up my phone. She says, what's the problem? I tell her 5 minutes later. All right, so I can do that if I want. I can watch Netflix, right? But I decide, you know what? It's late. I'm tired. After my daughters leave, I'm really tired. I'm. So I laid down in bed, and anxiety kept me up for another 3 hours on my computer. All right. I woke up this morning, Becky, and nothing. anybody who owns a direct TV or remote, I'm sitting there remoting away. Ain't nothing happening, man. I mean, Channel 5, I want to watch the weather. I get about 10 seconds and the whole thing just, I got no TV. Direct TV has crashed. Not marginally functional, not limited functionality. It's gone, man. Okay. So I pull up Netflix. I got a button on one of my remotes for my TV. Says Netflix right on it. And I have Netflix. My daughter has Netflix. She lets me use it. I hit Netflix. It says enter your information, your password and your username. Well, it's supposed to do that automatically, but in all the chaos over the last couple of days, we reset my television, LG, and that wiped out its memory. So it's like, who are you? Well, I'm Ken, but I'm not who you're looking for. You're looking for my daughter, Stacia. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I have to text my daughter. What are the odds she's even awake, right? I text my daughter. She answers and she tells me the username and the password. Username's long, man. You got to, it's her whole name and dots and dashes and numbers and then Gmail. I get through that. And anybody who's ever done that letter by letter with the remote on the screen, it's a QWERTY board. I mean, I was exhausted by the time I got her email address in. Now I have to put in the password. So I put in the password. She actually gave me two, but they were very similar. And she said, one of them, put in the first one. Says nope. Put in the second one. Says nope. I'm like, you know what it is? It's because there's a capital letter in there and I'm not capitalizing. So I do it again, twice more with a capital. Doesn't work. Nothing's working. It's not letting me in. Text my daughter. About 40 minutes later. Oh, wrong password. Completely different password. Finally, I get in. Oh no, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. My thumb's tired. My brain's tired from trying to logistically figure out. Listen, if you're on a QWERTY board with a remote, now and I'm just making this up. You're on the Q, and now you have to go to the M. Now, do you go across and down? Do you go down and across? Do you go up, over, around, and back up, down to the bottom, right? I don't know. I don't do this enough. And plus, I don't know QWERTY. So if the first one is Q, pop, find the Q. Next one, M. Got to look for the M. I don't know where it is. I got to look at the whole board. I finally got in. I got Netflix, kids. I'm excited. I got something. I watch martial arts. I love kung fu movies, man. And so I watched The Grandmaster, which is about Ip Man. It's not very real based, but I got it. I got it, man. I watched the whole movie while I'm doing other stuff, pausing. Problem with pausing is when you start up, it buffers. That's a problem. Or worse yet, I missed what they just said. So I want to go backwards. With DirecTV, simple. You can go back 1 second, or you can jump 3, 5. Anyways, no. So I back up a dozen times because I'm busy, man. I'm doing stuff, right? And every time you go backwards, you have to rewatch stuff. So, anyways, I got through that, and then I left. I came back, and I've been watching another kung fu movie since then, Ip Man, the finale, with somebody acting the part of Bruce Lee and somebody acting the part of Ip Man, who was Bruce Lee's teacher in China, kung fu teacher. Thank you, Debbie. Yes, I do have TV, thank God. Rachel, it is a pain. Lisa has really put her searching for with the remote letter by letter, is, as you say, Lisa, maddening. A pain in the ass, says Debbie. A process that drives you crazy, says Chris. You see, tonight, Ben there is right. Okay, see, tonight you're being a community. Last night, I'm flipping, man. I ain't got no TV, and you people are like, read a book, meditate. It's like so not helpful. Tonight, you feel my pain. You share in you. Misery loves God. You know what I'm going through. See, this, this, this is healthy. This is healthy. This is spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically bolstering, because you're not sitting there going, oh, don't be fancy. Anybody can do that. Oh, QWERTY's so easy. No. Okay. I'm glad we got that done. So I've actually got on pause now because it was time to do this. So I haven't watched a lot. So now I'm going to tell you about getting a vaccination in Dallas. So I got a vaccination in the northern suburbs through my hospital. Cindy, this woman that I'm seeing, she asked me for a ride down to, I enjoy searching on randomly arranged keyboards. So Cindy's from Oklahoma. She lives with her son, but she really doesn't know where. She asked me, could I give a ride down to K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center? All you that live here, everybody knows it's the convention center, named after a former governor, K. Bailey Hutchinson. I'm like, not a problem. I know where it's at. But I know it's not that simple. It's not finding the center. It's finding where they're giving the shot. Where am I going? So I get all the information. I put it up, and it's a torture journey to the parking lot where we need to go so she can get an injection. But I navigated like a champ. I mean, I got discombobulated. I was on Interstate 30, and it didn't look right at all. And but I landed up not making any wrong turns and getting to the convention center. And I want to now talk about the vaccination process as presented by the city of Dallas. First off, there's people everywhere. I mean fire people and stuff who are directing us. Lots of them in yellow vests. So I'm following this guy, right? And they're sitting there, bump, 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 bump. There's 4 open lanes. And so somebody goes down the first one, and somebody goes down the second one. There's a 3rd lane. I'm thinking that must be for me. I start to turn in there, and oh my God, this fireman yells at me. Bah, 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 bah. Now, I want to yell back, right? I want to yell back. Well, if you don't want me to go down there, you know what? You could move about 3 feet. You could take a cone, move it about 3 feet, and that would have made it look as if it was blocked. And I wouldn't have been inclined to turn there, right? So now I have to kind of back up, and I run over a couple of cones. No big deal. They're just rubber. And on we go. So first station, as Joan said, she went there yesterday for a vaccination, and she's absolutely right. It was a well-oiled machine. It really was. It was kind of impressive then. Lots of people, 30 never does look right, Chris. You're absolutely right. I went down 75 to 30, and before I could get to 30, we were just bumper to bumper, right? All the way down to Reunion, it was bumper to bumper. So they stop, they check you, they look, are you the person who's got an appointment? Boom, boom, boom. Keep going, go through here, go there. They check your paperwork, the other pieces of paper. They marking your car with magic marker that you've been approved for the next station. And eventually, they guide you to a table in your vehicle. You pull up, you turn off your engine. A fireman walked up, or nurse, I don't know. There were fire people, there was some nurses. They ask what arm you're getting it in. They pop, boom, bang. They write something on your windshield that indicates you have to wait 15 minutes, which is what they did when I got my shot. I waited 15 minutes for a shot. I mean, after my shot, they require that. Yeah, you parked. I mean, this whole thing. Let me explain. The K. Bailey Hutchinson is a convention center. We never left the parking lot C that I know. We were underground. There was no daylight. There was no, this wasn't a room. This was a big ass parking lot. The tables were set up in a big ass parking lot. There were dozens of stations. And you pulled up to a table. It was kind of cool. Boom, bang, bing. And then you follow some more cones, come around, and then they put you in a line, two at a time, and you have to wait 15 minutes. And then around 15 minutes, a little after 15 minutes, somebody comes by, again, a medical person, and says, does everybody feel all right? Yes, you can go. I was impressed. It wasn't as comfortable as going to my hospital setting, but maybe it was. I mean, I was just in a car. I mean, that's the only difference. It wasn't. There was no long line. We the longest line was the very first stop because there were two cars in front of us that were trying to get their paperwork cleared. We were cleared and waiting for the two cars in front of us. That's the luck of the draw. I don't know. Anyways, so boom, bang. Then we went to the farmer's market and got some, Chris knows, we got some falafel sandwich, some falafel wraps, right? Lovely day to eat outside at the farmer's market. Lovely. All right. And then home again, jiggity jig. Now, let me tell you about a problem. I told you about, I'm telling you all the good news. I'm going to get my television fixed. A friend got vaccinated. I've been vaccinated. I'm getting my other vaccinations already. Okay. Here's the problem. Here's the bad news. Two birds. I open up the back door to let the cats in my yard. My yard is off of my bedroom. Two birds flew in while I was somewhere else. Maybe I was in the toilet or something. Anyways, I come out. I mean, yeah, I was in the bathroom, somewhere in the bathroom, and I hear screeching, right? I come out, and there's a bird flying around my bedroom. Freaks me out, by the way, because I saw the movie The Birds. I am not cool indoors with birds. I'm cool outdoors. I'll watch birds for days, right? Not in my bedroom. Anyways, one freaks me out, and he goes out, and I thought I saw another, but I don't see him. So I'm like, oh, phew. He got out, fine, all right. I saw one going out the door. Well, a little bit later, I hear some more bird sounds, and they sound awful close because I don't usually hear birds like they don't sound like they're in the next room, right? It's in the kitchen. It's on my light fixture in the kitchen. So I'm like, I got to get this bird out of here, right? So I try to go to the kitchen door. I have a sliding glass door that leads outside. And that freaks the bird out, my movement. And there's cats hanging around like this, looking up at the bird. They can't get to him. He's up on this light fixture. And the bird takes off in the wrong direction. I want him to go out the door. He don't go out the door. He goes into my house further. I have looked for him all day off and on, room by room. So I even took a flashlight with me. I sick the cats on. I mean, I don't want the cats to catch the bird. It's the last freaking thing I want. I do not need death in my house. I don't need bird blood, anything like that. But I thought, maybe they'll, if they find the bird, they'll do what they were doing when I found the bird too. They'll be sitting there going, right? I searched room to room. I can't find the bird, and the bird ain't making no noise. Slick. I can't imagine. Now, I opened up doors, every door I could. Well, outside doors. Inside, I searched each room, right? Clear. I didn't have backup. That was the problem. I didn't have backup. All right. Go in each room. Look. Clear. Once I clear the room, close the door. Right? Okay. Up in the attic. Clear. Close the attic door. Because I figure the bird's going to gravitate up. So maybe it's up in the attic. No. Anyways, this is 12 hours later, maybe. No, this is about 7 hours later, I haven't heard the bird. I haven't seen the bird. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. The cats, meantime, are going back to their normally regularly scheduled behavior, running in and out of the house, whatnot. Me, I'm freaked out because here's the thing. If I so much as go to the toilet, right? I don't actually take a gun, kids. But it's kind of like this. It's like open the door. Because what if I missed him earlier? He's going to freak me out. This bird, he see it. If I open the bathroom door and a bird flies in my head, I'm possibly a heart attack victim. So I'm anxious every time I leave the room I'm in to go to another room. I'm like, what if that bird was hiding, right? I mean, I got a footstool out and looked on top of the cabinets in the kitchen. Where is this sucker? Anyways, I'm just telling you, I don't know where he is. And he didn't get out. He couldn't have got out. There was no exit, right? I mean, I opened all the doors at some point, but I didn't hear anything. The cats didn't react. Okay. What else did I want to tell you? It's 6:21. Why should you have called, Debbie? Do you fix birds? Could you have chased the bird out by phone? I don't think so. So, and by the way, I was explaining to some of you, in a sense, how we integrated as teenagers. See, I had to explain. Why did I have to explain what started? Well, anyways, I'm going to, thank you, Debbie. I'm going to send Cathy some books. In order to do that, I have to figure out how to box them and everything. I have a friend that works and does a lot of mailing. And so I'm explaining, for some reason, my friend Cathy, she's in Florida. She's thinking of reading, and I got books I ain't reading. I'm going to send Cathy my books. Some books. How should I send the books? Then I feel compelled to explain why I'm sending Cathy books. I mean, nobody's asking me. Nobody's like, I don't understand. Why would you send Cathy? So I'm explaining, well, Cathy was Gary's sister. Well, this person doesn't know Gary, so now I'm explaining Gary. Oh, I know what happened. Excuse me, back up. All right, no. How do we live isolated in the time of the pandemic was actually the discussion. The books played a part in it, but that was a minor part. Here was the real topic. The topic is, how are we functioning, those of us that are completely alone? Absolutely, Debbie. So I was explaining that Debbie and Cathy had just moved to Florida not that long ago, okay, into a world of isolation, right? And then so then I'm explaining Debbie and Cathy. Now, Debbie and Cathy know how hard it would be to explain Debbie and Cathy to somebody who doesn't know them, and you're just explaining Debbie and Cathy, okay? Now, moving around. So, and Debbie and Cathy started out as roomies, but then they each got their own place. So there's that. And then a discussion about how hard it is for women to live together. Then we transition from Debbie and Cathy, because I've exhausted that. They are Lucy and Ethel. I've exhausted explaining Debbie and Cathy and I were teenagers. Oh, no, Cathy's not my age. Debbie's my age. Cathy's not my age. Cathy's Gary's younger sister. Oh, who's Gary? I mean, I wasn't asked that. I feel compelled to explain. So Gary's the one that I always tell people was one of my great friends, but passed. Okay. And then there's got to explain Radine, because Radine knows. I mean, we spent 7 years in close proximity, man. Okay. So explaining Radine, then the whole thing just was kind of reeled out of control. The topic was survival or mental survival in the time of the pandemic. And it's just interesting dynamics of as we age, we anybody my age, okay, um, as we age, how do we look at relationships? A lot of women in my world are done with relationships with members of the opposite sex. They've had it, they've done enough, they've been involved with men off and on their whole life, and they've made a decision. Then there's people who are in relationships and they are cohesive. There's people who are in relationships, they're not, and it seems, so what is the import? How much will relationships play a role going forward for people in their 60s? Is it so people have relationships but don't live together? You see that more today than you did 50 years ago, right? People may date well into their 70s, maybe even their 80s, and keep separate residences. I have friends that have done that. Some people live together and never get married. Some people live together, get married. There's all these variations and permutations, and the point is, it's a modern world. That's all cool. There was a time when you might have been frowned on as being a loose woman, a loose man, whatever. But more importantly is, how do we navigate old age, illness, the difficulties associated with aging, and not being a burden or being a synergistic yet symbiotic burden to one another. One subject leads to another thing, and of having no idea what you're talking about. Ain't that the facts? And Cathy, you see that with me all the time on my podcast. So, so as we age, we have new issues that we didn't have when we were younger. All of you, when you were younger and you were dating, all of you, except for those of you that have been married for like forever, you're not included in the conversation right now. We'll come back to you. So, so you, when you were younger, you dated, you rarely lived together, maybe lived together. When you broke up, you broke up. You didn't consider the consequences of who, how, what, where when I'm 70, 75, 80. First off, we didn't expect to be here, but we're here. And then we now know people, which we didn't at the age of 40. Maybe some of you did. Maybe I knew somebody. In the main, we didn't know people who had become infirmed, who had become physically or mentally handicapped as a result of the aging process. And again, let me clarify. Accompanying age are difficulties, memory difficulties, physical difficulties, um, sometimes verbal difficulties. And I have a friend who was with his wife for 50 years and she just passed. She passed, she's my age. He's a little older. I'm watching him, I am studying him because this is his first time being alone in 50 years. And he's just reached that age where, what the hell do you do? I mean, he had a stent put in because he had some difficulties in one of his veins or arteries or something. Don't ask me. He's, he had a diagnosis of possible, well, it was cancer. It was removed from his lung. Right now it's cool, but it could come back. Right now, he can make his way around. He's physically healthy, but he's 74 or 73. Another friend is 74, has Parkinson's, been identified, diagnosed with Parkinson's, lives alone. All these people that live alone have, and at our age, 65 and over, have the origins, the beginnings of disabilities, which may continue to plague us to the point where we may ultimately resign ourselves to being found as a deteriorated puddle in the living room. We died 2 weeks ago, and all they found when they got here was kind of a percolating mass, right? And that may be fine. Like my brother who lives in California, if you ask him, he's like, I'm like, well, what happens if you die and I don't know about it? He said, don't worry about it. I'll be dead. What do you care? I'll be dead. you'll find a puddle. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you're right. Okay. I'm not as resigned to that. Although if you find me in a puddle is one thing, but what happens in those final weeks or months when we are struggling? We're struggling to take a shower. We're struggling to get a bath. We're struggling to cook food. We're struggling to shop for groceries. Whatever it is, whatever these struggles are, how does that balance against being a part of a relationship that may carry its own burdens, right? When you're in a relationship, there are burdens you must bear. You have to navigate with another human being. You have to be sensitive. You have to be considerate. You have to be attentive. If you're like me, that's a lot of that. Those three things, that's a lot of work. Okay. So there's this cost benefit analysis that I refer to frequently. Relationships also must be measured in a cost benefit analysis, not not with such cold calculations, but it is a real that if any one of us, Debbie, Cathy, me, the three of us, we live alone. Rose lives alone. Rachel lives alone. Joan, I think, lives alone. All right. So I'm just using us an example. Now we're probably all of us are aware of the challenges of being alone, but equally aware of the challenges of being with somebody. And the closer that person gets, the more challenging it can become, but the more rewarding it may become. It's hard to tell when we're starting out in these relationships in our 60s. That's not so easy to discern. If you started this relationship in your 40 and you're 65 now, you got a pretty good idea how this is going. You're pretty sure how it's all going to play out. Trying to meet people, and I'm talking about in a romantic way, in a time when, 5 years from now, they may need your help getting to the doctor, and you may be at a point where you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I can get you to the doctor as often as you need because, I'm not as strong as I used to be. Um, that's what assisted living facilities are for. When you can't take care of it yourself, you sell your house and move into one, or you ask your daughters to move in with you. That's a good point, Ann, and I've thought about that. Thank you. Ann just got me to take a right turn, and I want to take that right turn. So it's funny she says that. I've been looking at assisted living facilities, not the newer kind, and the kind where you have all levels of functionality. So, like my mom, she lived in her own apartment inside one of these facilities for 12 years. And then the last 6 months, she was in the care center associated with it across the street. And all you have to do is be, I don't know, 55 and over for a lot of these facilities, 65. I don't know what the thing is. I haven't looked, but I've been thinking, I'm looking as I drive by at some of these newer ones where you can get your own place, live completely independent. You can have a garage if you find the right place. You can have your own, you can buy, you can come and go as you please. You got your key. You can take the meal plan or you can skip the meal plan. And I'm looking at these places and then I'm thinking like, dude, you're fine. You ride your bicycle all the time. You don't need this. But what about all the those burdens of maintaining a household and continuity of care centers? Thank you. What about all the things you don't have to deal with when you get into something like that? And Debbie just brought up like the $64,000 question, no pun intended. If you have money, because if you don't have money, these continuity of care centers typically are not looking for you. They are expensive. And my mom was blessed. My dad had a business, sold the business, didn't ruin the business, and left my mother enough money to make it to the finish line. And I'm ever so grateful. I am trying to calculate what it would take for me to get to the end of my life and not be broke before I get to the end, but not have a lot of money saved up when I get there. Kind of want to, you can start with independent living, then move to assisted living, and then to the dreaded nursing home. That's exactly what my mom was on that trajectory, right? So she had her own apartment for, I think 12 years. And it's such a small, she had one bedroom, she had a little kitchenette, and she had a little patio. It was perfect for her. And they had food on the first floor, nice, good food. She paid for the meal plan. I think her plan was 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day. She could cook in her apartment. She could order out. Didn't matter. They're subsidized ALFs, assisted living facilities. There are. Are they nice though? Let me tell you, because in conjunction with what you just initiate, that conversation, um, the a friend of mine had a hip replacement, and after the hip replacement, you have to go to a rehab center. A lot of rehab centers are in nursing facilities, and so he was at one called Apple Village or something here. And I went there. And to get to the rehab unit, which was a relatively small unit, you had to walk through the nursing facility. There's a lobby and people sitting around. And you probably know they're sitting, a lot of them are wheelchairs. The vacant stairs. It was sad. It was really sad. So I walked through and I got sad. I got sad walking through this communal area. I get to his room. He's laying there. He's not an old guy. He's fine. He's communicative. It's not like visiting him in a horror. He was in horrible shape. And then a friend of mine, this woman I know, she walks in moments later crying because the same thing that was affecting me was affecting her. It was just seeing these people who looked so helpless. It was forlorn. In fact, when we finished visiting our friend, she and I went out a back door. In other words, we didn't go back through the facility. We found a side door, pushed the bar. Normally you couldn't come in that way, but you could get out. And we did that. Depends on where you are. Where I live in the Boston area, there are nice ones. Well, you may have a bunch of us moving to Boston, Ann. It looks like Debbie, Cathy, and I might be candidates. But the weather. So, Illinois sucks, and I don't know about Texas. I have been to some of the facilities in Texas. I've given lectures. Sometimes they have, Ann probably knows this, being she works in one. A lot of times they try to invite speakers in and stuff on a variety of topics. And frankly, I always say yes, but I'll tell you, sometimes I'm there and within 5 minutes, there's maybe one person still animated, still looking at me. The others are nodding off. It can be challenging. But so I thought about these facilities and I've asked my daughters, please don't dump me in a marginal facility. Please don't dump me. At the time, I was with their mom, right? And so I said, don't let your mom dump me in one of those facilities. Now she's gone. I still have daughters. They don't live here. So my daughters are moving to Korea. So the suggestion that my daughters could move in and take care of me, that is not going to work. Anyways, Cathy, you are a youngster, and I'm sorry I threw you into this basket of old people, but in a couple of years, you'll be thinking like us. We don't levy any taxes on our populace to pay for subsidized places, and Texas doesn't have an income tax. Okay, so most of you know what I'm talking about, and the rest of you will find out what I'm talking about. So again, it's navigating aging, but what I was trying to specifically focus on when I started this is how do relationships play a role, if they play a role. We have friends. My daughters have been trying to move to Korea for a couple of years. Why are they going to Korea? Because one lived there for a year. She went to high school, her last year of high school on a scholarship, and her sister loves Asia. They love all things Asians. My daughter's been watching Korean soap operas for probably 6-7 years. Don't ask me how they became Koreophiles. I don't know. I did put them in Taekwondo, but that was years ago. So as we are single and aging, at some point, everybody listening to me who is aging like myself, and included, must confront for ourselves what is the value of a relationship, period. Just what is the value of a relationship? Is there a value in being associated with one human being versus just being out here and, just enjoying the world as it is? And if that's fine, will that be fine 10 years from now when you're 75 and you're beginning to have some management difficulties, whether they're mental or physical? The next thing is, if it's a relationship, what is the character of that relationship? It won't be the relationship you had when you were 40. It's just not going to be. I don't know anybody my age right now who is embarking on a relationship that looks anything like the relationships that I saw people creating when they were younger. There are more questions and more concerns. Most of the women I know at my age have been in challenging relationships. Let me define challenging. At the very least, they've been around men who frequently were overbearing and controlling. At the other end of the spectrum, they were with men who were physically abusive. So a lot of women, when they're evaluating relationships going forward, if they have not been in a relationship for a while, often report to me they're not really that interested in a relationship because they don't want to pay the emotional price they found necessary to be in a relationship with some of the men that they have met along the path. Men don't speak of that because most men weren't abused physically in a relationship, and a lot of them weren't abused psychologically. They weren't beaten down necessarily. Fewer men is all I'm saying. I'm not saying you're a man that you couldn't have been a victim. It's just you're not nearly as often a victim. So men are trying to negotiate with the women that they encounter, they meet. Oh, she's pretty, she's smart. You know, go to dinner, whatever it is, and you find out you are on a date with somebody who has decided, yeah, let me know if you want to go out, see a movie or something sometime, but I'm not really into a relationship. You know, I got my home, I got my dogs, I got my car. I don't need a guy to complete me. Well, I don't need a woman to complete me. So maybe we're good together. Maybe we're not. Maybe the fact that we are living these separate lives for so long that bachelorhood or whatever you call the women living alone is more desirable psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, physically today. But will you say the same thing 10, 15 years if you're stricken? My mom was cool to the end, man. Let me tell you, I want to use my mom as an example. My dad died maybe 25 years ago. He was 80. My mom was a couple of years younger than him. She was 102 when she died. So she was without my dad for over 20 years. I thought that my mom may embark on another relationship. Initially, I thought, well, she's got a number of guy friends that she's known for 60 years, 50 years, who, yeah, my dad was 80, so she was about 70. She's very likely to hook up with some of these guys who she's known forever, whose wives have passed away. There were a few of them like that, and they had been close friends for years. Members of the same club, and parties at our house, parties at their house, going to their kid's wedding, okay. But as it turns out, my mother never showed as a significant interest in another man ever. And after my dad, I don't blame her, not because she was spoiled, because she was probably, oh my God, thank goodness it's over, right? He was really overbearing. So my mom then went on for the next 20 some odd years by herself. I was a little concerned. There were several years where she lived in her own apartment downtown Chicago, and mostly just had her dog for companionship and an occasional friend in the neighborhood. She had friends, but she walked the dog. She met some people in the area, younger people, and she would visit with them. And sometimes she would go to dinner with them or something. When I say younger, they were 50, 60, because my mom was already 80 something, right? I was gratified when my mom moved into this facility um, assisted living facility, whatever you call it. I don't know. It's out there in the Glen. For those of you in Chicago, it's out in the Glen where, and it was called, don't even remember. Anyways, she moved in, got her own apartment. I was really anxious, man, when she made the move, um, when she sold her place and moved out to Glenview. I was really anxious because she wasn't a social person. She blossomed there. She had men and women that she was friends with. She had meals with. She played bridge with. She did things with. She went to movies with. She flourished. She was never in a relationship again. And she passed away, and I never heard her complain about not having a companion. Anne says, not to be too grim, but most older people are widowers or widows. You can't count on a partner to take care of you. And that is, and part of the calculation. We could embark on a relationship right now. Any one of us, 65 and over, could embark on a relationship, be great companions, have mutual interest. Travel's a big thing right now for people our age. Traveling, people retiring, finding our interest, being in the same room with each other, watching TV. Somebody's reading, somebody's watching TV, whatever it is. And then at 75, 10 years from there, one of them is dead, or one of them's in a nursing home because they have dementia or they have cancer, whatever it is. So absolutely, you're not being too grim. It's just real. That kind of is the underpinning of what I'm talking about. How do you manifest a relationship in a time when you may create the widow, a dying, or you may be, in my case, the widower, because you embarked on a relationship with somebody your age. And, like you said, older people don't make it, right? Now you're alone at 75 or 85, and you're really kind of up the tree. But anyways, I don't have answers for you. I just raised what I just did. Oh, and I went over time. I got to go meditate. I'm sorry. I got to go. Um, all I put out there is that if you're aging, and if somebody 30, 40 is watching this, I apologize. If you're aging, then these are some of the issues you're dealing with. Now, please don't private message me about the difficulties of aging or the advantages of being in a relationship. I'm not looking. I'm not looking to hook up. I'm right now. I'm on my own trajectory, and my trajectory is just where it needs to be right now. I'm learning how to be Ken, the better Ken. So, okay. Anyways, gotta go. Don't really have time to do a full meta, so let's do an abbreviated meta, if you will. You'll join me. You'll bring your hands together before your heart and close your eyes and take a deep breath. Let's radiate goodwill and kindness for ourselves. May we be happy, healthy, and free from harm, free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may our practice lead to a life of greater peace and comfort. May all those persons that we love and have affection for, um, these persons that mean something to us, we want them to know, and we send loving kindness to them so they may be happy, healthy, and free from all suffering. And then also to those persons that annoy us, bother us, cause us to have resentments, to them too, happiness and good health, joy in their life. And then to all living beings, let us send out goodwill throughout the entire universe, so that all living beings, humans and non-humans, will be happy, healthy, free from harm, that is safe, comfortable, and at peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. I got to go lead meditation, a pocket full of questions, and a handful of answers. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lisa, Radine, Debbie, Rose, Joan, Cathy, Rachel, Ann, and Mark, and Debbie, Cathy, Lisa. I'm just trying to remember who all was here. My mind is racing. Ray Dean, did I mention you? Anyways, I think I did. Yes. All right. Peace out. Y'all have a good, safe night, and let's all get vaccinated. Yes.